Stalingrad, the bloodiest battle in human history. We are taught that the German advance was stopped by brutal street fighting. But the truth is, the German halt began long before reaching the city limits. The campaign was doomed in the steppe. In June 1942, Hitler launched Case Blue. The goal was not Stalingrad, but the oil-rich fields of the Caucasus. To secure the Caucasus, the German army needed to secure their flank. Stalingrad was merely a secondary objective. But early success bred dangerous arrogance. The Red Army was retreating, and Hitler believed the Soviets were finished. In July, Hitler made a fatal decision. He ordered Army Group South to split into two separate targets simultaneously. Army Group A headed south for the oil, while Army Group B, including the 6th Army, pushed east to Stalingrad. This split violated the core German military doctrine of concentration of force. It also triggered a logistics nightmare. The Russian steppe was vast, and its infrastructure was primitive. There were no paved highways, only dirt tracks. As the distances grew, the supply lines stretched to their breaking point. Transport trucks began to break down in droves. The German railway system could not keep up. Soviet tracks used a wider gauge, requiring tedious manual reloading. By August, fuel shortages became critical. Panzers that should have been racing forward sat empty and silent. General Friedrich Paulus, commander of the 6th Army, was forced to halt his advance just to wait for fuel. The Luftwaffe, tasked with securing skies, could not fly because transport planes were diverted to carry basic rations. Every day the Germans spent waiting for fuel was a day the Red Army used to build defensive lines. The Soviet High Command, the Stavka, realized the Germans were overextended. They initiated a tactical, fighting retreat. They blew up bridges, destroyed rail lines, and laid massive minefields, forcing the Germans to crawl forward. What should have been a lightning-fast blitzkrieg turned into a grinding, slow-motion crawl across the steppe. The intense summer heat and choking dust wore down the German infantry, who marched hundreds of miles on foot. Water became scarce, diseases like dysentery spread, and combat effectiveness began to plummet. Mechanical wear and tear was devastating. Spare parts were stuck hundreds of miles behind the front lines. Without replacement parts, operational tank strength dropped rapidly before they even saw the Volga River. When the Germans finally approached Stalingrad in late August, they were a shadow of their former strength. They had split their forces, ruined their vehicles, and exhausted their men just to reach the city. To make matters worse, the massive Luftwaffe bombing of the city backfired in a spectacular way. The intense bombing turned Stalingrad into a labyrinth of rubble, which completely neutralized German tank superiority. In the ruins, the Red Army could engage in close-quarters combat, where tanks and air power mattered little. The German 6th Army was sucked into an urban meat grinder, a style of warfare they never trained for. Every pile of bricks became a fortress, every cellar a death trap for the invading Axis forces. Meanwhile, the Soviets easily resupplied their forces across the Volga River, right under German noses. They also accumulated vast reserves of men and armor on the flanks of the German salient. Those flanks were defended not by elite Germans, but by poorly equipped Romanian, Italian, and Hungarian allies. In November 1942, the trap snapped shut. Operation Uranus bypassed the city and encircled the entire 6th Army. Stalingrad went from a target of conquest to a frozen grave for 250,000 soldiers. The halt at Stalingrad was not just a failure of combat, it was a failure of logistics and hubris. By splitting his forces and ignoring supply lines, Hitler guaranteed the defeat before the battle even began. History is often decided by the invisible lines of supply rather than the visible lines of heroic defense. Hit like, subscribe for more deep dives, and comment below. Could Germany have won if they didn't split forces?